Sultanate. Top Kapi Palace. Fourth Courtyard. Circumcision Room. The fourth courtyard, also known as the Imperial Sofa, was more of an innermost private sanctuary of the Sultan and his family, and consists of a number of pavilions, kiosks, gardens and terraces. It was originally a part of the third courtyard, but recent scholars have identified it as more separate to better distinguish it. In 1640, Sultan Ibrahim wanted the circumcision room, a summer kiosk dedicated to the circumcision of young princes, which is a primary rite of passage in Islam. Its interior and exterior are decorated with a mixed collection of rare recycled tiles, such as the blue tiles with flower motifs at the exterior. The most important of these are the blue and white tile panels influenced by Far Eastern ceramics on the chamber facade, dated 1529. These once embellished ceremonial buildings of Sultan Suleiman, such as the building of the council hall and the inner treasury, both in the second courtyard, and the throne room, in the third courtyard. They were moved here out of nostalgia and reverence for the golden age of his reign. These tiles then served as prototypes for the decoration of the Yerevan and Baghdad kiosks. The room itself is symmetrically proportioned and relatively spacious for the palace, with windows, each with a small fountain. The windows above contain some stained glass panels. On the right side of the entrance stands a fireplace with a gilded hood. Sultan Ibrahim also built the arcaded roof around the chamber of the Holy Mantle and the upper terrace between this room and the Baghdad kiosk. The royal architect Hassan Aga under Sultan Murad IV constructed during 1635 to 1636 the Yerevan kiosk, and in 1638 to 1639 the Baghdad kiosk to celebrate the Ottoman victories at Yerevan and Baghdad. Both contain most of their original decoration, with projecting eaves, a central dome, and interior with recessed cupboards and woodwork with inlaid nacre tesserae. Both are based on the classical 4-yuan plan, with sofas filling the rectangular bays. Fourth courtyard. Baghdad kiosk. The Baghdad kiosk is situated on the right side of the terrace with a fountain. It was built to commemorate the Baghdad campaign of Murad IV after 1638. It closely resembles the Yerevan kiosk. The three doors to the porch are located between the sofas. The facade is covered with marble, strips of porphyry and antique. The marble paneling of the portico is executed in Karen Mamluk style. The interior is an example of an ideal Ottoman room. The recessed shelves and cupboards are decorated with early 16th century green, yellow and blue tiles. The blue and white tiles on the walls are copies of the tiles of the circumcision room, right across the terrace. With its tiles dating to the 17th century, mother of pearl, tortoise shell decorated cupboard and window panels, this pavilion is one of the last examples of the classical palace architecture. The doors have very fine inlay work. On the right side of the entrance is a fireplace with a gilded hood. In the middle of the room is a silver, Mangil, charcoal stove, a present of King Louis XIV of France. From the mid-18th century onwards, the building was used as the library of the Privy Chamber. Fourth courtyard. Terrace kiosk. The rectilinear terrace kiosk, also erroneously known as Kiosk of Kara Mustafa Pasha, was a belvedere built in the second half of the 16th century. It was restored in 1704 by Sultan Ahmed III and rebuilt in 1752 by Mahmud I in the Rococo style. It is the only wooden building in the innermost part of the palace. It consists of rooms with the backside supported by columns. The kiosk consists of the main hall called Divanhan, the prayer room and the room for sweet fruit beverages. From the kiosk the Sultan would watch sporting events in the garden and organized entertainments. This open building with large windows was originally used as a restroom and later, during the Tulip era, 1718 to 1730, as a lodge for guests. It is situated next to the Tulip Garden. Fourth Courtyard. Tower of the Head Tutor. The square tower of the Head Tutor, also known as the Chamber of the Chief Physician and Court Drugstore, dates from the 15th century, and is the oldest building in the Fourth Courtyard. It was first built as a watchtower. It has few windows, and its walls are almost 2 meters thick. The physician had his private chamber at the top, while below was a store for drugs and medicine. The chief physician and the chief tutor shared this place as their residence. The chief physician was responsible for the health of the sultan and the imperial family and used to prepare the medicines here. Under his supervision and those of the chief tutor the palace drugs were prepared, mixed and sealed in bottles, jars, boxes or bowls and given to the patients. The chief physician was also a companion of the sultan outside the palace. The office of the chief physician was traditionally held by Jews. After the 17th century, there were increasingly Muslim physicians along with Jewish and European physicians. After the Sultan moved away from Kapi, the tower was used as a music conservatory and later used for the cleaning of palace arms. It was restored in 1911 and houses the medical objects collection. Fourth Courtyard. Grand Kiosk. The Grand Kiosk, also known as the Masjid Kiosk, Grand Pavilion or Kiosk of Abdul Masjid, first built in 1840, was the last significant addition to the palace, along with the neighboring wardrobe chamber. Both were built on the orders of Sultan Abdul Masjid first as an imperial reception and resting place because of its splendid location, giving a panoramic view on the Sea of Marmara and the Bosporus. The sultans would stay here whenever they visited Topkapi from their seaside palaces. These constructions were erected on the vaulted basement of another kiosk dating from the 15th century. The architect Zarkis Balyan constructed it in an eclectic Europeanized style, mixed with traditional Ottoman style. Inside it is furnished in the Empire style. The two buildings were also used occasionally to accommodate foreign guests.